Look, there is always a problem on defining evangelicalism against the right and the left. That's always a problem. It was a problem in the 50s and 60s when the modern evangelical movement, became identified with that word. It's a problem now. But what we also have is that in the larger culture, the great hatred is toward American evangelicals because we're the great resistance force against progressivism and the left here in the United States, and that's just a matter of fact. It's largely evangelical Christians in these largely red states who simply won't go along with the program. And by the way, yeah, they're quite condescending towards evangelicals in the United States, but we're the people having the babies and raising the children. And so, in other words, and by the way, look at those red states and the people growing the food and so many other things. I'm not saying there aren't any liberal parents and there aren't any liberal farmers. I'm just saying that where you find parents and farmers, you find an overrepresentation of people like evangelical Christians. I'm also old enough, and you can tell by looking at me, that I've been around for a while. And so I can tell you that the liberal left has tried to marginalize conservative Christians in the United States by calling us the new right, the radical right, the new radical right, the Christian right, the new Christian right. And now it's Christian nationalism. Now, I want to tell you, there have always been some Christians who kind of mix a true nationalism in a negative sense, an ideological sense, with their Christian theology, kind of in a Christian identity politics and one thing. That's not what I think is healthy. But there are people who call me a Christian nationalist because I believe in the importance of the nation. And I also believe that this nation is Christian in its historical context to the extent that even the more secular founders were secular only in the context that they sought some distance from Christianity, but they assumed the Christian worldview. They assumed a Christian metaphysic. They assumed a Christian morality, as a matter of fact. And someone like Alexis de Tocqueville will come along and make very clear as a European observer, this is basically what it looks like when Protestant Christianity becomes a government. And I want to make very clear that, as our Declaration of Independence does, that we're endowed by our Creator with certain rights. So all that to say, there is a problem of just a naive patriotism. There's always a problem of a cultural Christianity that turns into some kind of civil religion. It's always a problem. But on the left, the problem is that there are conservative Christians who actually believe that's supposed to make a difference in our vote and in our civic engagement. And by the way, the media product you mentioned, it's part of a large constellation of things going on. And like the most famous of them is being underwritten by Rob Reiner, who's been one of the most liberal secular proponents of the Democratic Party in the United States. And he's found some evangelical fellow travelers to help make his point. And all I'm saying is there will be, by the way, and I say this, I'm not a prophet or a son of a prophet, but I'm going to get out on a limb here. I think a lot of these people will cease calling themselves evangelical in fairly short order because evangelical Christians are sticky people. And if you're looking for the cultural elites, don't look here. By and large, American evangelical Christians, even though the vast majority are what you would define as middle class, we're not the cultural elite. We are not the people being handed statues in Hollywood. We are not the people who have just been given tenure at Yale. That world's gone. But we are the people who are raising the kids and nurturing the families and tilling the ground. And, they can't do without us.